Welcome back to the Her Fertility Podcast, where you can find the right type of support for your fertility journey. And sometimes the best support comes from hearing other people's stories. And I am delighted today to be reconnecting with my friend Sophie Byfield. The first time I met Sophie, she was speaking on a stage at an event I was attending, and she captivated the room with her story of how her experience with infertility led to her becoming a fertility doula and coach and supporting others. And I knew in that moment I had to meet her. So I tracked her down at the next break, and it was an instant connection. Sophie is a holistic goddess. She is a certified personal trainer, certified yoga instructor, certified holistic nutritionist, and a certified fertility doula who approaches fertility by first healing the body to calm the mind and open up to the possibility of conception. She has a whole self approach that's grounded in tangible steps that you can take to improve your fertility. And I have had the honor of connecting with her in many different ways, and I'm so honored that she is joining us here on the Her Fertility Podcast. So welcome, Sophie. It's so good to see you again.
It is so nice to see you, and thank you so much for the warm welcome. I'm excited to be here.
I think one of my most favorite things about you, Sophie, is your grounded energy. There's so much extra energy when we are talking about fertility, and you have such a grounded presence, and that it makes the biggest difference for people when you are supporting them. But I know you didn't start here. So do you mind just sharing your story and what led you to today?
Yeah, my story started, I want to say November of 2018, where I got engaged. And I was so excited. Both of us knew right away that we wanted to start a family. So I said, okay, I'm going to go off birth control right away and hope that I get pregnant by my wedding so I could surprise him with this. A little bit naive. Didn't work out that way. And what ended up happening was just 4 years of IVF, IUI, medicated cycles, round after round of treatments, trying anything and everything under the book to get pregnant. And it just wasn't working. There was one point I was so low, I was sitting in my bathroom just crying. One of those ugly cries where there's the snot and the tears and you're trying to catch your breath. And I was like, we should just get divorced because I can't give you kids. And I know you want to have children. And my husband proceeded to tell me I was an idiot. But it was just, I was so broken from the journey and felt like I was failing as a woman. Felt like there was part of me that just couldn't complete the one thing that my body was supposed to do, or that I thought at that time my body was supposed to do, which is very important. I say it that way. And I'll explain a little bit about that later. And I decided actually to put everything down. I decided that, you know what, I don't know, what I'm doing isn't working. And because I'm a nutritionist and because I understand the body, this shouldn't be so hard. Why is this so hard? It was probably now December 2022. And my husband was making eggs. And I was like, those eggs stink. Like the whole house stinks. Don't make eggs anymore. And I would like to preface this by saying that I'm a meatitarian. I love meat. I love eggs. But that day, the eggs were stinky. And then a couple of days later, I started eating steak, and it just wasn't tasting good. My palate wasn't taking to it. And I slowly started to listen to what my body wanted. And it didn't want meat anymore. And I slowly changed my diet. And I came off of, I think, about 15 different supplements. I still have them all in my pantry right now. I had 20 different supplements. I cut it down to 5. And I just started healing my body from the inside out. I started working on sleep. I started working on stress. I did all of these things. And within 12 weeks of transforming, I got pregnant.
Wow.
It wasn't the medical system. And I'm not saying that the medical system doesn't work, but I truly believe that you have to heal from the inside out to be able to conceive. Our reproduction doesn't work in a vacuum. It works with all of the other systems in our body. And if we don't look at the other systems or talk to the other systems, they can be what's holding you back. And I find a lot of the times that's what gets missed.
Yeah. Your journey and mine are very, very similar. There are big differences also. But I think one of the things that this is the same is having a lot of knowledge coming into it, right? Like as a nutritionist and yoga and having this awareness coming into it and being healthy and having a regular cycle and being like, okay, let's do this. And then it doesn't happen. And that's like so frustrating. It's not that you weren't listening to what you already knew. It just, there was something that needed to shift.
Yeah, 100%, 100%. And it was very easy to go down a trying to conceive rabbit hole, even with all the science background.
Yeah.
Right? Because all of a sudden you're Googling at 2 a.m, or you know, your friend, this particular supplement worked for your friend, so now you're going to take it, and you're 20 supplements deep.
Yeah. Yeah. And because it does feel like I'm just missing one thing, right? Like, what is the one thing I'm missing? And hearing you talk, and I'm obsessed with your content. I love everything you put out because you know, it is this kind of almost like a step back, it feels like, to see more of a big picture, not just one thing. And you recently posted something around one thing you wish you had told yourself or had done differently is like stick with something until it worked. Can you tell me more?
Okay, I can think of one supplement in particular. And what had happened is I found it on the TikTok. I was like, this is the one. I'm grabbing this one. And I would implement it. I would take it. And then, you know, I'd get my period 2 weeks later and I'd implement something else and stop taking it. And I wasn't monitoring my cycle and my body close enough to see if that supplement or that thing that I was doing was making an impact and making a difference.
Yeah.
So one of the things I talk about is verifying it. So we start by finding out, what is your cycle doing right now? Like, are you bleeding 3 to 7 days? Are you doing this? Are you doing this? And then when we add a supplement, what changed? Oh, my cervical mucus disappeared. Oh, I started spotting. Oh, this. And let's see what it does for a few weeks and see, or a few cycles, and see if it makes a difference, instead of jumping from thing to thing to thing for that missing piece. Your body needs time.
Yeah, totally. So you were there, you got pregnant 12 weeks later after 4 years of trying. And then what led you into supporting others?
To be honest, I started supporting others in December of 2022 because I was like, I don't want anyone to experience what I have gone through, like 3 different fertility clinics. And by the time I got to the third one, the doctor said to me, you had no business doing IVF or IUI. You wouldn't have gotten pregnant if you hadn't healed these other things. And we're talking thousands of dollars, right? We're talking time, we're talking heartache, we're talking all of the devastation that we go through on this journey. And I didn't want another person to waste the time and go through the experience of feeling like I'm doing everything right. They keep telling me everything's normal and it's still not working. And I just wanted to teach people what I had learned along the way. And that's how my business evolved and started.
That's so beautiful. I feel the same of like, I don't want anybody to go through that because you don't have to. There's so much you can do and know, and it doesn't look like scrolling on TikTok.
100%.
So you have such amazing offerings for people and resources. So how do you support people today?
For people, it depends on where they are in their journey. So if you're just starting to conceive and don't understand your menstrual cycle at all, I have a mini course to teach you how to master your ovulation, to know if you're dropping your egg, understand the important parts of your cycle. I have a signature course that's really for the people that have been trying for a while to dig into what they could be missing. So the beautiful thing about my signature course is you don't have to do everything. We have a quiz at the beginning where you're going to outline what's happening with your body and your cycle. And then it directs you to the modules or the lessons that are going to directly support those things. So if you're like, I'm super stressed. I crash at 3 p.m. and my cycle's irregular. We're going to focus on like gut health. We're going to focus on nutrition. We're going to focus on blood sugar. We don't have to worry about all bunch of other things. We're just going to focus on those three things. And within those lessons, there's a 12-week plan for you to implement to nail down that thing and heal it.
That's rad.
And
That's really cool. Because you do feel like you're wasting time, right? Like if you're going to invest in some big course that takes your time, it takes your resources, and you've already spent so much time. So for it to be customized, that's brilliant. I love that. As a type A person, I'm like, yes.
well, that was it. When I designed it, I really wanted it to be something that my big belief, let me take a step back. My big belief is that everybody's body is unique and everyone's cycle is unique. And when we're on this journey, we try to paint it the same. We try to say, you got to be taking CoQ10, you got to take this prenatal, you got to. But when you take a step back and really look at what a body needs to conceive, it breaks it down to about 14 different things, but not everybody needs all 14 things. Some people, they are super stressed with work, they're not sleeping, and their gut is not absorbing. They need to focus on those things, and it kind of becomes a domino effect, right? When you focus on the biggest things, other things start to line up.
Mm-hmm.
And that's what the course was designed to do, because I'm very type A. And I was like, I got to do all the things. I got to eat a Mediterranean diet, and I got to throw away all the receipts, and I can't touch plastic, and I can't do this, and I can't do this. But those weren't the things that my body needed.
Mm-hmm.
And it became so overwhelming because I was trying to do it all.
And yeah, you had said earlier that you thought at the time your body wasn't doing what it was designed to do. Tell me more.
So one of my big beliefs when I started trying to conceive was that my body is made to get pregnant. Why is it not working? But your body is actually made to stay alive.
Mm-hmm.
Right? And so if it's in survival mode because the other systems aren't working, it's going to shut down reproduction because it's not safe to get pregnant.
Yeah.
Right? That is what it's designed to do. It's designed to run away from the saber-toothed tiger. It's designed to stay alive. And so if you are overly stressed, if you're not eating enough, if you're eating the wrong things, the body's inflamed, it's going to say, hey, getting pregnant isn't safe for longevity, isn't safe for us to stay alive. So let me shut down that reproductive system until she starts to heal this.
Mm-hmm.
And when I looked at it that way, it changed the game for me.
It's such a powerful perspective. And I had the honor of speaking with your group, the Heal to Conceive tribe.
Yeah.
And what a beautiful group of human beings. First of all, it was such an honor to speak with them. And we talked about this, right? Of this idea that, it's connected to your nervous system. But I think one of the more frustrating parts is that we've largely normalized being in fight and flight and freeze and fawn. Like that is a normal state of being for so many women and men, but like mostly women. And it does feel normal to operate at that level and just do all the things. And it's not until you do start really listening and hearing your body, but we've never been taught how to do that. And so in your experience, like what are most women missing?
I would say that if I look at all of the results that have come through the signature course, like and narrowed it down to the top three, the biggest one is nervous system support.
Yeah.
Most women are in survival mode, and it's like we're living our life and then we're trying to conceive. And I was explaining it to the girls in my tribe this week, is that think of a cup of water. Like you're already in survival mode. The cup is already full. And now we're pouring, you got to test and you got to temp, and then you got to take all these supplements, and the water's just overflowing, right? There's nowhere for the water to go. So we need to drain the cup a bit in order to add trying to conceive. So nervous system support and regulation is number one. Then it kind of splits off. So if we're talking someone that has PCOS, there's more hormonal support that they're going to need. If we're talking about someone who has irregular cycles, we're going to look at different things. So I believe that there's 4 cycle types out there. And they divide out into a latecomer, who's someone who goes 30 to 60 days, 90 days with no cycle. Then we have a spotter, someone who spots throughout their cycle, where it's really hard to pinpoint when it started, when it stopped. Is it brown? Is it pink? Like, what is going on? It's not really shutting off, no clear start and end. Then we look at someone who's a wild card, whose cycle is shorter and then a little bit longer and then shorter, and then it's really long and it like jumps all over the place. And then there's someone who's called the perfect paradox. And each of these 4 people need to kind of look at their body and trying to conceive slightly differently. Someone who's a spotter may be looking at progesterone support, maybe looking at gut health, lining environment. Where someone who's a perfect paradox, we want to look at nervous system regulation. We want to look at different things to help you conceive.
That is so rad. Because in my experience with working with people, they do fall into those categories. I was thinking of people like, oh yeah, she's that, and then this client is that type. And it's not something that we get from our medical system, right? Like the medical system is full of, I like to call them like tools. Like there's tools you can use in the medical system that help us get data on the body, that can help us, put egg and sperm together and do those things when they're needed. But all of the rest of this stuff isn't a part of that. And there is so much to explore here before or even during using medical intervention. With that, is there 1 or 2 or maybe 3 things that you wish women knew when they're trying to get pregnant?
The first thing I wish women knew is that it's not as easy as they make it out to be in the movies.
Yeah.
It does take time. I know we hear stories about people getting pregnant really easily or by mistake, or this happened. But for majority of people, it does take time. And so if we can start saying that to women right now, I think it would take away a little bit of stress.
Yeah.
The
And that
second
expectation.
Yeah, 100%, 100%. Because a lot of people expect to get pregnant right away. Guilty as charged. Guilty as charged. I was going to be pregnant right away, right? Mm-hmm. And that's not the case for most people.
Yeah.
The second thing I would want people to know is that your fertility isn't a light switch. It's more of a dimmer. It doesn't automatically turn off when you turn 40 years old. It's more of a slow dimmer. And where you fall on that dimmer switch really depends on your genetics and your history. Have conversations with your grandma, your mama, your auntie about when they started menopause. Was it difficult for them to get pregnant? Do they had fibroids or polyps or any struggles? Because we don't have these conversations, and that can give us so much more information. The third thing I would want women to know is that supplements are great. However, in a big however, you do not need every single supplement that is out there. Some of these supplements are going to throw off your cycle and throw off your body and make it 10 times harder to get pregnant. Mm-hmm. Really working with someone to figure out what your body needs will truly make a difference in how fast you conceive. Because I can speak to a client of mine who started taking a prenatal that everybody was swearing by, and it took her from a regular cycle to spotting. She spotted for almost 50 days, just because of taking the wrong supplement. So just be careful when you're taking all these supplements out there. And I say this from a place of love, being the girl that had 20 different supplements in her cupboard.
Yeah. Well, and I think like in my experience, it's almost like you don't think the supplement is that powerful. Like there's no way that that thing could be altering my cycle. It can only be benefiting, when that's not the case. Like they are powerful. They do make a difference, but the difference isn't always the difference you want.
100%.
Yeah. And going back to your point, like everybody's body is unique, and also bodies change. So what was true for you 10 years ago is different, right, from now. And that was all focused for females, right? Like we do mostly, you and I both support women. Yeah. But is there anything that's different for men that you wish men knew on this journey?
There's a few things.
I thought there might be.
One of the things that I wish men knew is not to put their laptop or their phones in their front pockets or on their laps.
Right? Like, what are you doing?
something else. I have a lot of clients right now where the fertility clinic wants to work with the woman first and isn't looking at the sperm. And I really would like my clients and people out there to advocate to have the sperm tested right at the very beginning and get a DNA fragmentation test right at the very beginning.
Yes. Why isn't that happening more? I agree. I'm like, we have this technology. It is painless. Go do that because it's half of the equation.
100%. 100%. I had a client that was trying to conceive for over 2 years. And then I was like, we need to get his sperm tested. We need to get his sperm tested. They finally went and it was like, oh, he's the challenge. I'm like, what? You don't say.
Great. Glad we know that now. That's wild. It should absolutely be one of the first. And, and I think people listening to this, like, your clinic might not do that, right? Like, you might have to ask for that to be done. Mm-hmm.
Yes. Advocate for yourself. Advocate for yourself. And I find more and more the sperm-based partner or the male partner don't feel like they have to stop drinking or stop smoking or just are, a little bit more lackadaisical with their next steps. Yes, the sperm takes 72 days to regenerate. However, we want the healthiest chances for your body as well. So really working together to build the healthiest bodies possible for conception. Now, I also say this with the caveat, and I said this to one of my clients last week, your partner may be resistant to giving up some lifestyle changes, to making some lifestyle changes. And we don't want to nag them either. And I use, right?
Yeah.
This journey can tear apart your relationship from so many different angles.
Yeah.
That we want to be supportive in all conversations. So it can feel like we're carrying the load and they only have to do this one thing. And why can't they help us with this one thing? But communication on working together to get to the goal will really make a difference versus harping on them making the lifestyle change. And don't forget to date your partner through this journey.
Yeah.
Like, make it spicy, make it fun, go back to the things that you used to do so you do not lose your connection, because it is very easy to lose your connection on this journey.
Yeah, I'm so glad you said that because it is something that, we work on with people, like supporting somebody on their fertility journey. Part of that looks like figuring out, what does daily life look like? How do you now implement these changes? What does this look like? What do you, for what your magic is, Sophie, is like, what are people eating and the supplements and all the things? And it does look like, how are you going to talk to your partner about the things that they need to do too, without nagging, without being the constant reminder, like their mom, right? Like, you don't want to be that. And it is hard. And we don't talk about that part. And it is so tricky. So yeah, it is something where it's like, you have to find a way that works for you and your partner. And it takes some finessing. Like, it doesn't come that easily.
It doesn't come that easily. I can think of a few clients where, like, they're laying out all their supplements, and I'm like, we're going to give him a supplement break this couple months. We're just going to let him live.
Yeah.
And we'll circle back, right?
We'll get
just
back
to be able to maintain the connection, because they're carrying it as well without sharing it. And as a woman, we tend to carry a lot more of it. We do. Yeah. We're the ones making the calendar and marking out the supplements and saying we can't eat this and saying we can't eat that. So just remember that when you're on this journey together, the working together part is just as important.
Yeah.
And sometimes that's giving the other person a little bit of a break, a little bit of a breather.
Yeah, 100%. And really only you and your partner know that and can fine tune. Being on the other side of it, right? Like, both you and I are on the other side of it. And I feel like having our own experience is valuable because we've lived through it. And so we can better support others through that shared understanding. Is there something you know now as a mom that you look back on your past self and are like, man, I wish I had known that then? Like, is, you know how they say hindsight's 2020?
Mm-hmm.
Is there something that you look back on? Like for me, knowing my son now, he's about to turn 7, which is wild. And I'm like, knowing him and like who he is, the way in which I was so type A and so on it and trying everything and like really just pushing for it, he is the opposite of that. He is a very quiet, calm, stands at the back of the room type of person. And so I was like, wow, I was really pushing you away. Like I was, and that's really where I work, is in the energy piece. And knowing him now, I can just see how he was like, whoa, lady, like slow down. So that's kind of my hindsight's 2020 moment. Do you have anything like that where you're like, now I can see more clearly what it is I was missing?
Yeah. So I believe that there's 3 parts to getting pregnant. There's the action, there is the science, but then there's also the miracle and the magic.
Yeah.
And the miracle and the magic comes from surrendering and letting go.
Yeah.
And letting go is not giving up.
Mm-hmm.
Letting go is a deep knowing that this is going to happen for me. I am going to bring my baby in the world. I'm going to connect with her or him. And knowing that so deeply that you're making decisions from that place, from a place of knowing. And that was what my part of my healing journey was. It was a deep knowing that connecting with what my body needed to bring the life into this world.
I just got the full body chills. That was so beautiful. And it's the healing journey, right? Like nobody chooses to have infertility. And however you believe it, like your soul comes here to do great things and to learn great things. And infertility is part of that learning. And there's something about this journey that it's almost like an alchemy where you go through it and you come out the other side more who you were always meant to be, more in that authentic self. And I feel like you just so beautifully said that. So thank you for sharing that.
Yeah, thank you. A little
Yeah.
bit of magic. I have a free experience and it's called the Conceive with Confidence experience. And it's all about learning to look at your body as a whole so that you can conceive with confidence, so that you can make your next step, knowing that you're making the right step towards your miracle. And in this 5-day experience, we look at trying to get pregnant completely differently. We look at it by understanding those cycle types that I had talked about earlier. Not only how to pinpoint and confirm ovulation, but what you're looking for in your cycle. Like a lot of people I talk to are still using apps, but not tracking or confirming. So apps are based on an algorithm and it doesn't take into account whether you've traveled, whether you've been sick, whether you're stressed out, which all can affect and shift your cycle. So understanding those little pieces, we talk about how you have to nourish your body from multiple angles. And that's not always food. Sometimes that's journaling. Sometimes that's supplements. Sometimes that's running or boxing or slowing down and doing yoga or Tai Chi, right? Different bodies need different angles of support and how to nourish your body from different ways. We talk about verifying it. Girl, how do you know what you're supposed to be taking?
Yeah. Yeah.
Right? How do you know what's going to work for you? How to verify what you're taking is actually working for your body and what to let go of. Like when I let go of those 15 supplements or my client got off the prenatal.
Yeah.
And then how to align everything together. Like how to align it is really about getting out of the overwhelm of trying to conceive and understanding that you can try to conceive and live and that you're not living to conceive. And those are very, very different because when I was on my journey and I talked to a lot of women about this, it consumes you. Every thought, every action, everything you're doing. Is this right? Should I be doing this? Should I go to this party? Should I go to the wedding? Should I travel? And you stop living. And there were so many parts, like I didn't think it was going to take me 4.5 years. And there's so many things that I gave up, missed, didn't attend because I was consumed by it. And really just teaching people how to live through this without it consuming your life.
I really appreciate the verifying piece because we don't normalize what that is in our society. And so I'm so excited about this experience for people. And if you are somebody who's listening and you're like, well, I need to find like that one thing that I'm missing, you will find that one thing through this experience. Like by going through all of these steps and looking at that is how you find the thing.
It really is, because if you're like, oh, I already know how to track my cycle, I'm already doing all the things, then check mark, that's off your list. That's put to the side. But do you know how your cycle is affected by the way it's nourishing? Is your lining, uterine environment healthy and juicy enough for a fertilized embryo to implant?
Yeah.
Because there's 3 steps to getting pregnant. So we want to make sure we're dropping an egg. We want that egg to implant, and then we want to carry to term. And the medical system tends to work on just the first part. It's the other parts in the body that we need to heal and make sure are optimal for carrying to term.
Yeah, I'm so glad you said that. There's this common belief like, oh, I'll just do IVF and it will work. And then if that was true, then IVF would have a 100% success rate. And I wish it did, but it doesn't, because the body is so intuitive. And it's like, if there are other things not aligned and not working or not open, whatever it is for the individual, then that embryo is going to go in, but not implant and not stay. And so there is so much more to that. Yeah.
Exactly. Somebody asked me today, what do you think of IVF? And I said, I love that there's this medical treatment that we can do. But I said, there's other parts that are missing the puzzle. And for me, my IVF failed. I didn't know better. I didn't understand that the other pieces of my puzzle weren't healthy enough to implant and carry.
I hear a lot too, like, well, then my doctor will tell me, right? Like I'll do what my doctor tells me. And, that is in my defense of doctors, that is not a realistic expectation of your doctor. They're trained to do the procedure beautifully. And that's what they know. And that's their wheelhouse. Everything else outside of that is not their wheelhouse. It doesn't need to be like an us versus them, like a holistic versus Western medicine, but there is complements to it, which you so beautifully walk people through in this experience. And that's why, regardless of where you're at or how your journey is leading you, this 5-day experience with Sophie will serve you. And so I will have the link in the show notes if you want to join Sophie through the experience. It's 5 days, and the link will be in the show notes. It's completely free, which is such a gift. And so go through that, and then you'll find where in your puzzle you can focus your attention. It is an honor to chat with you. How can people find you?
So I live in a few places. I am fertility coach Sophie. So I'm on Instagram, TikTok, and on YouTube. I have the Heal to Conceive podcast as well, if you want to listen to me there.
Thank you for spending some time here on the Her Fertility Podcast.
Thank you so much for having me. Thank you. I truly appreciate it. And I love what you're doing to support these women. And let's bring some babies home.
Let's do it. Thank you so much for listening to this episode of the Her Fertility Podcast. In a sea of big name podcasts, your support means the world to me. If you enjoyed the show, I would so appreciate your support by leaving a review on Apple Podcast, Spotify, or YouTube, wherever you listen, to help me reach as many women as possible. You can also share this episode with a friend. Sharing the podcast is the best way to help it grow and build a community to support you on your fertility journey. If we aren't already connected, please find me at herfertility.support on social media, or sign up for one of my next fertility courses or offerings at www.herfertility.support.